Hello everyone. So today I have a tier list of every single plushie minus elevation, and today we're just going to be ranking them. This is based on my general opinion, which is always factual, and yeah, just how useful they are in game, and their versatility and all that. So our first one is Barrel Baller. Uh, this is just a joke plushie. I mean, it doesn't. It gives you volatile shards, which give you minus 50 injury. So we're just gonna put this at F tier, and also it's way too hard to get and looks ugly. So next is Bevel. He also just gives you joke items. The chaos is pretty funny though, and he's a lot easier to get than this. So we're gonna rank him above that, but still trash. Next is Disco Master, our first actually functional plushie on the list. He gives you lemons and soda, and the party buff when you get spotted is pretty solid. And he gives you a dance debuff if you don't hold him out for too long, which is also kind of funny. So it's not really that bad. And so I'd say he goes in like C or B, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he looks cool, and I'll put him in B. Next is Bozo. So, Bozo's the classic. I mean, he's super easy to get. He gives you ghost burgers, which are really good. So, and overall, he's pretty solid. I mean, he gives you speed when you're spotted, as with a lot of the other plushies. I'll rank him at a B. He's alright. Next are the sins that aren't gluttony. So, we're just gonna put these all at C, because they're alright. I mean, they all do the same thing. But, within these tiers, I'm just going to rank them on how cool I think they look. I think Desire is one of the coolest looking plushies in the game. And then I think it's probably Wrath, and then Envy and Greed are kind of the same. I think Greed's a bit cooler. But, next is IMAS. So IMAS gives club sandwiches, which technically are really good, because like they give 30 stamina to everyone around you. So you could get like 150 stamina overall. But like, let's be honest. This isn't a team game. I mean, it kind of is, but like, really? The only reason you work with your team is to divide and then conquer all the buttons. So, I mean, team stamina items aren't really that viable. Because, like, most of the time it's just you running away from the monsters. So, honestly, I think he's like a D. I think he's not even C tier. Eyemaster, it's just another standard plushie. He doesn't really give much. It looks kind of mid, so we're just gonna keep him there. Same thing with Ganderer. He goes in C tier. I think he's a bit cooler looking than Eyemaster, though. Next is Gaster. So he kind of like the Shade plushie. He gives you stealth when you get spotted, which is really nice. I think it's much better than speed. He also gives Ghost Burgers, which is pretty nice. He does blind you if you keep him out for too long, but I think that's fine because, you got to use the plushie if you're gonna equip it. So, I mean, I'd say he goes in A tier, because the Ghost Burgers are really good, and the Stealth buff is really nice. Next is Gluttony. So, Gluttony, he does everything. He's basically the normal sins, plus the whole Crown of Jewels, which gives you crazy things. He has your standard status effects when you hold him out, or don't hold him out for too long. I'd put him at like A, because the Crown of Jewels was really nice late game. I see a lot of people running this in my lobbies, and overall it's a nice plushie to have if you're going the long route. Next is the Golem plushie. I think I really like the alert status effect when you're spotted, because it lasts for 20 seconds, which is really long. And I mean, he gives lemons and burgers, and some other jewels, and overall I think it's pretty nice. I'll put him at like a B tier. He's kind of like a low B tier. He's alright. And next is Gumballer. So Gumballer is default, and he's really hard to get, and he looks kind of stupid, but I mean, he looks better than like Eyemaster and Gander, obviously, so we'll put him there. Manager, he gives coffee. I mean, coffee is nice, but like, you'd rather have stamina items from a plushie, so he's D tier. He's pretty okay. Next is Midnight Baller. He's pretty much the same, except he gives you coffee, and I mean, he does look pretty cool, so I'll put him at C tier, but I'll put him like, I think debatably coffee is a bit better to have than scrap, because you can get scrap pretty easily. I don't really think when you equip a plushie, you're going for scrap, you know? So I'm gonna put him at a high C tier. Next is Mimic. So Mimic, he gives you a lot of things. I like the cabbage and the cribble fruit, and then he gives you soda also, and then this what the Sids give you, burgers and water. And then he also just gives you like a whatever random status effect, which is kind of cool. He either gives you alert, coffee, speed, or stealth. And I mean, it's kind of just a gamble of what you get, but I mean, most of the gambles are good. So, yeah, as I was saying, the gambling is pretty fun with Mimic. I mean, you can kind of just... There's a lot of different things you can get when you get spotted with him, and I think that's pretty nice. I'll put him at B, because I mean, I like the things he gives, and overall he's pretty solid. Put him at like a low B, though. The Meyer plushie. So, it can either give you Witch's Brew, water, or battery. The only thing that I don't like is it gives you cleanse when you're spotted, which is a really stupid buff. Like, you don't really need cleanse unless you are covered in sludge, which it really isn't that much of a problem. So I'm gonna put him in D. I mean, he's not really that good. So, next is the Merc plushie. Merc is a goofy character, but and so is his plushie. So it can either give ghost burgers, gloomberries, candy, which isn't really that good, and then water and scrap. I mean, overall, like the only good thing he gives is ghost burgers, and that's 1 out of 5 things you can get. And then he just gives you speed or slow, slow when you're not when you hold him out for and keep him away for too long. So I'm gonna put him at a D. I mean, he's not really that good, but he does look cooler than Meyer, so yeah, we'll put him there. Next is Parasite. He looks like the Chomper from Plants vs. Zombies, which is kind of funny. Once again, he gives Cleanse, which is already kind of a D tier for me, but he does give burgers, soda, and lemons. So I'll put him at like a really high D. Actually, no, I'll put him at a low C. He makes up for it with the things he gives, because it's pretty nice. I like what he gives. And then Scratcher. So Scratcher gives you battery, campfire, or scrap. I think campfire is really nice, especially as a support item. I mean, that's really all it does. But I think it's a much more supportive plushie, which I don't really see that often. So I mean, I'll put him at B. I think the campfire is really nice and the battery is nice, but it's not a very solo-oriented thing. So actually, I might no, because the campfire is quite nice. So I'm actually gonna put him at B because he's really nice in group runs and public servers. Sculpture plushie is just a reskin of the default, so I'll put him here because he looks stupid. I mean, he looks cooler than these two, so and then I'll move Parasite like here. Cool. Next is Seeker. Seeker is the same, except he doesn't give scrap, he gives soda, which I think boosts him a little bit. I think he's about the same tier as Midnight Baller. Doesn't look as cool though. Shade. I used Shade for a while. He's kind of pretty similar to Gaster. I mean, he gives burgers, water, soda, and ghost burgers, and he gives stealth buff when spotted. One thing that I kind of like about him is instead of slowing you when you don't have him if you don't have him equipped, he gives you injured, which really doesn't do much. It just lowers your max stamina by 2, which is like negligible. And the stealth buff is nice, so I'd rank him about like a B tier. I'd rank him above that. And Shakes is next. I think the stuff he gives is really good. He gives like a lot of fruits and coffee and sapphire and gems. And I mean, I think the fruits he gives are really good, and you know, he gives a lot of gems and stuff, so I'll put him at like a B tier. He's alright. And the Sin of Ratio plushie, I mean, he's S tier, obviously. I mean, he gives regen and haste, and then he gives you a really good status effect when you're spotted. I mean, sorry, S tier, yeah. And then of course he gives you the far potion, which is kind of trash, but I mean, he makes up for it. The skeleton, he's pretty much the same as a normal he's pretty much the same as a normal plushie, except he can give you burgers. I mean, he can give you bonfires, which is pretty rare. So I think that's pretty nice. I think I'll put him at a very low B tier. Ignore the 3 new plushies that just popped up. Anyway, so next is Shadow Walker. So Shadow Walker just gives more volatile shards. I mean, he's kind of just one of those flex ones where you just use it to show off. He's not really functional, but he is kind of cool. But I mean, he doesn't even look good. He's just a black line. The entity himself looks much cooler. Spectre, the boss that everyone hates. So yeah, he gives data fragments, which are kind of just gambling stamina. So I mean, he's kind of cool. His stats that he gives are okay. So I'll give him a C tier, but he does look pretty cool. So I'll rate him above these guys. So next is statues. So the statues plushie just gives club sandwiches. It's pretty much just eye mass. So I think it looks a bit cooler than eye mass, so I'll put him here. He's still kind of D tier. I don't like club sandwiches. I mean, they're alright, but like, there's just better things you can get, you know what I mean? So next up on the list is Thorn. So Thorn, I actually really like Thorn. He goes really well in info builds where you just need a ton of battery for camera. So he gives a lot of battery. That's kind of his whole niche. So I think he's definitely a B tier, but I would rank him a bit higher, but there's a plushie that does one better. So actually I'll rate him about C tier. That's just because Trevor Touchdown is it's just Thorn but better. He just gives more battery overall. And also he looks pretty cool. He has a little energy rod. So I mean, I'll rate him above these guys. He fulfills the niche really well. So next is Wanderer. I hate Wanderer, the entity, and the plush is mid, so we'll put him bottom of C tier. So next is Sketcher Man. I personally am a fan of his little dangly legs, and he does give ghost burgers too, along with burgers and scraps. So he's pretty standard, but I think he's definitely pretty cool. So I'll put him at top of C tier. And finally, Sloth. Sloth is a sin that we missed, so I think he looks pretty cool, but I'll put him like... Actually, he probably looks the worst out of all the entities. I mean, Sin's not gonna lie. So, and that's the full tier list. So, what did we learn today? Just use the normal items, I guess, because plushies are pretty trash, but they're a pretty nice way to flex. Actually, I'd probably change this. I'd probably put Gaster to S tier, and then Gluttony at A. And I'd probably move Trevor up to A, because I think he's really good. And, yeah, that's the full tier list. So I hope you agreed or disagreed. Tell me in the comments. And, yeah, see you next time.